Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie. You're watching Reliable Roots, and today's video is a DIY mermaid from this book of Forest Fairies. We love this book. I got this book a few months ago and we've already made several fairies out of it. It also has some wonderful little purses, and I'll be bringing more tutorials on fairies and such in coming videos, upcoming videos. Anyway, these are all the materials that I'm using. I'm using wool yarn, pipe cleaners, string, scissors, the pattern from the book, some colored pencils, and the wool felt that I got from a child's dream. So to start off with, I'm just going to take the pipe cleaners and make a letter V, and then I will make a letter W or a letter M, depending on how you want to look at it, and then I will just twist the two together so that it makes the shape of the fairy. Next, I will be taking the pattern and cutting out the wool felt that I'm using. I love this wool felt. I got it a few months ago. It's very expensive, especially compared to acrylic felt, but it is addictive. It is so much softer than the acrylic felt, and it lasts so much longer. It doesn't fray like the acrylic felt does. I still use the other kind of felt all the time, but this I really love it. I try to use it as much as I can, and I think I'm about to order the fall collection from a child's dream, and I will link that in the description box below if you are interested in using the real stuff. So the next thing that I'm doing is just making the edges of the fins, and I'm making these jagged. Now, if you had those wonderful pruning or picking shears, I always forget what they're called, it'd make this job a whole lot easier, but I don't, so I'm just making jagged edges, and then I'm also trimming up the fin to make sure that it all looks very nice and neat. Now comes the fun part of decorating it, and I am using purple sequins. I got these from the Dollar Tree, and I also have some leftover silver sequins from 2 years ago when I did an Elsa dress, I think. And I'm just going to be sewing those sequins on, and that is how I will sew the 3 different layers on. And I also went a little bit nuts with this, and I also wanted to sew on a whole bunch of beads to kind of make it look a little bit more like she's under the water. I don't know if I pulled it off or not, but this is the fun part to me, is that I absolutely love sewing, and it's just really relaxing to me, and I could do this all day. Next, I will be making Her Majesty's crown, and I'm just going to again make the jagged edges on both sides of them, and then I'm going to add a different colored strand of felt, and then sew in some sequins as well to put those two together. And then after all of that is done, I will sew the sides of it together to make a circle, and I will also cut a little bit more towards that strip of felt so that it kind of looks a little bit more frayed. I really like the look of this crown. They have a couple different options of crowns in the book, but this one's my favorite. So next, I'm trimming off any excess just to make sure both sides line up really nicely, and then I'm going to cut a hole in the top so that I can put her body shape from the pipe cleaner into there. And then I will be tying on the ribbon around her waist and her shoulders, and this part was kind of tricky because I decided to go with a sequin ribbon that I've had for a few years now, and I don't know what to do with it, but it kind of looks like fins to me, so I decided to use that as well as some pink ribbon. Unfortunately, it's really hard to tie sequin ribbon, so what I ended up doing was sewing through some of the last sequin holes in the very back. So you could also use a hot glue gun if you didn't want to do that, but I wanted to sew, everything. I didn't want to use any glue if I didn't have to. I will use glue for the head just to make sure that the head stays firmly in place, but I will show you in a second how I did that so that you can't even see the glue. Next, I'm going to stitch up her sides, and I'm just using a regular whip stitch for this. My kindergartner also used a blanket stitch because she prefers that stitch over a whip stitch, which I just think is so cool that she knows the difference between those two, because I don't think I learned the difference between those two until I was in my 20s. And now I have a whole bag of wool that I got from a local farmer, so I decided to use that to stuff my mermaid's tail with. You can also use the polyester fill, but I actually don't have any polyester fill. Next comes the most fun part, and that is doing the hair and the face. So I'm going to use, this is again another wool kind of yarn that I got, I think from from Michael's, and I'm going to use this along with the roving wool that I also got from Michael's, because it kind of almost looks like dreadlocks when you put them together. So this is a really fun part that a preschooler can do. I know that a preschooler can't do most of the sewing aspect, but they can do the stuffing. They can also draw on the face, and they can also help with the hair studio. So now I'm adding just a drop of glue to the back of the head to make sure that the head stays firmly in place, and then I'm going to cut off the excess pipe cleaner and just fold it over. And then with my hot glue gun, I'm going to glue all around the head so that I can gently and carefully place all of her beautiful hair all around it. And this might take a little bit of trying and practice, so you might need to help your kindergartner or preschooler with this, especially using a hot glue gun. But you're going to put a crown on top of it anyhow, so if you are able to see some of the glue, it's not the end of the world because the crown will be going on top. Now with the crown, I'm going to be sure to glue actually on the forehead of the doll just to make sure that the crown stays firmly in place, and I'll do that first, and then I'll add just a little bit of glue to the back. And then finally I will be cutting off the end of her hair to make it long and flowy. And the final thing that I did was add a face to my mermaid, and I saved this to the end because I really wasn't sure if I even wanted a face on her. Sometimes it's best to just leave them faceless because then the children have a little bit more variety with how the mermaid is reacting whenever they play, if the mermaid's happy or sad or whatever. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. You can see the other mermaid that my preschooler did, and my other daughter took off with her mermaid, and I have not seen it since. If you'd like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll be bringing more fairy tutorials, especially coming this fall, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!